Hi, guys, and welcome to episode number 307, where we are diving into all things LinkedIn etiquette. So, let's talk about first who is this episode for? So, if you are a subject matter expert or a speaker, a consultant, or a coach, and you are looking to generate quality leads, and you are willing to do what it takes to actually build relationships with people on LinkedIn, and you realize that by doing that, you're actually going to increase your profits. And if you're like me, you've been on LinkedIn and you're probably really tired of the spam messages. Just yesterday, I had a well meaning young man send me a DM on LinkedIn, and his only question was, "Do you have an Instagram for your podcast?" Of course, I was like, "Yes, of course. Here I have my Instagram channel for my podcast." And I proceeded to receive an entire video about all the ways that I should be growing my Instagram. Now, I understand that leading with like tips and help is a really nice way to do things, but this guy had never commented on any of my posts. He had no idea who I was, what I did. He didn't take 2 seconds to actually determine if I was somebody that even wanted help growing my Instagram. And that's where my frustration lies with LinkedIn. Message me on LinkedIn if you feel the same way. I do want to receive those messages so I can connect with you. So, in our process of building LinkedIn shows and having a series of LinkedIn here on the Sweet Life Entrepreneur podcast, I was on the hunt for people I really value and I really admire on the LinkedIn platform that I feel like are communicating in a very substantially real way. And you can tell that their LinkedIn success has definitely grown, and it's because of their skills in their LinkedIn communication and strategy. So, in today's episode, we get to bring in Salina Young. Now, Salina helps you grow your business with LinkedIn, and she is a well-established LinkedIn expert. We're going to be sharing everything we have here for you in all the show notes. And this is episode number 307. So you can cruise over to sweetlifeco.com, click on the podcast, and this is episode 307 to find all of the goodies that we have here for you. And if you are a subject matter expert, coach, or a consultant, and you're ready to scale your business to the next level, and you are ready to scale your business past the basics, then we would love to connect with you. You can actually go over to the show notes as well, and you can download the 6 components of a highly scalable consulting and coaching business. It's a complete list and a free guide that we would love to give you as our gift. You can find all of it by cruising over again to sweetlifeco.com, click on the podcast, and this is episode 307. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. I think that you are going to love what Salina says here, and you're going to resonate with her as well. All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. I'm super excited to be here with my new connection, Salina. And Salina is all over my LinkedIn feed. Let me just say this. I don't know how I found her originally, but I have notifications on because I feel like she speaks a language that feels comfortable to me and comfortable with me on LinkedIn. So as I have been trying to grow my LinkedIn presence and being more active, I've really been taking your lead on how to best communicate in a real way that isn't overly pushy or salesy or marketing. So
Selfie,
anyway,
sleazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking your time out to be here on the podcast with us and to drop in your wisdom. We're talking about LinkedIn etiquette today. So can you give us a quick background for our listeners of, you're the one that talks about this and how you got to this place?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me in your show. Like, it's just so excited. Like, Sweet Life Entrepreneur. Come on. Everybody wants to be part of this. So I'm Salina Young. I'm the LinkedIn business strategist. So I started my business 3 years ago, teaching people all things LinkedIn, particularly how to basically monetize using the power of LinkedIn. And me and April got connected because like one of my posts talk about how weird sometimes you're just like so trusting about the whole, like, I think the audience on LinkedIn is really high quality, first of all, but like sometimes you will just trusting people and decided to accept a stranger, and when they do when we do accept it, the minute that we accept, we do not give you permission to sell us right away. And that's the pitch slap that we talk about. That's how we get connected, and today we're going to talk about that a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was it. I think when I actually saw the words pitch slap written, and then you have all your other connections, and everybody agrees, and there's this whole chain of connections, and everybody's going, "Oh yeah, the pitch slap. Oh yeah, the pitch slap." I'm like, okay, these are my people. I want to know these people more. I want to hang out with these people, and I want to learn from Salina. So let's kind of dive into that. We're talking about LinkedIn etiquette and LinkedIn best practices, and where you have these deadly sins of LinkedIn that you share. Where do
Yeah.
you really start with people when they want to become more active, they want to build their personal brand on LinkedIn? What are these deadly sins that you just are like, please, let's take note of this first?
Yeah, I love that questions a lot. I would start with thinking about the purpose and the goal you want to grow on LinkedIn. Like, is it to find clients? Is it to land a media feature? Is it to basically start building connection? Maybe you just, starting out, fresh starting out on your business, then maybe networking, right? But in a way that, April and I talk about build a deeper connection with another person. Like, imagine you and them, it's like a digital handshake, right? Instead of just like pitch slapping them with like, hey, this is me, this is what I'm offering, this is my program, this is my website. Like, who are you, first of all? So I would start with your LinkedIn profile. I would warm up the your relationship with that person through engaging with their content, like what we do, DMing each other, like understand about like, oh, who you are, how do you help, who is your ideal sort of avatar, and then go it from there. And I think that is much more natural step than someone just like, hey, April, I'm Salina. I'm the LinkedIn business strategist. This is my website. Check it out. Let's book a call. I would be like, wait a minute. Like, please slow down. Who are you? Right. So
Right.
things like that will really help to nurture the relationship. And later down in the line, it's exactly what I teach as well. It helps you with sales as well. It's just take it longer to warm up the audience. But when you decided to jump on a call and you guys are a match to work together, when you do on a sales call, it's like a one call sales rather than like you already broke the initial trust and impression with the other person, and then you take it from there, right? Yeah. So that's how I see starting out on LinkedIn, figuring the goal, figuring the purpose.
Right. That's such good advice. And I love that you said it's going to take longer, but with that, you're so right that when it's time to convert into pre-qual, because we need to disqualify clients just like we need to pre-qualify them. It's just as important. And going through the process of connecting with people in the feed, connecting with people in the posts. And I love it when I receive a message from somebody who has at least liked two of my posts or commented on something because they actually seem familiar to me and I'm not afraid, even if sometimes, they might be pitch slapping me, like as you call it, but I'm so much more open to it because I appreciate that they have taken the time to connect with me in the public feed.
Absolutely.
Relationships sell,
Yeah.
and we can't, well, maybe somebody would argue we can buy relationships, but really that level of trust comes with communication and conversation and a bit of time too. So for somebody who's new onto LinkedIn, if they're trying to find people to connect with, do you have like a hack or a way that somebody can find the right people to connect with and start following so that they can start messaging people that could be their
Yeah.
prospective clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say a hack, but it's more like really go down to what you just said about like who they are, right? Like if they are targeting similar target audience, it's easy to open up a conversation by saying, hey, I really like your content, right? Just like April, you receive someone saying, oh, I really like your content, I really resonate. And exactly like this is a podcast interview show that's this beautiful collaboration happen, right? And just that instant connection. And I think like sometimes we over engineering the part where people would not answer you, but it's actually not true. If you personalize in a way that it's adding value to the other person, I think it's ultimately is a big yes. Whether it's to jump on a podcast show interview like this, a collaboration, or even to ask for the big ask of sales. I think it's very easy when you truly understand the other person, who is their target audience, how you can help, right? Things that I find there's two messages particularly really, really helpful. One started with let's say April, you and I are not connected on LinkedIn. I will go through your LinkedIn, trying to figure out ways of the content that you're creating on LinkedIn and say, hey, I can add value to this. This is something that you and I could work together on. That is one way of doing so. The other way of doing so is like really understanding the offer that you are sharing. Like, let's say business coaching, you're helping people to basically do business modeling, that it's very highly profitable. Maybe you know another like big creator in the space on LinkedIn. Let's say I know a lot of creators that is doing that. I would love to connect both of you together. That's add value, but equally it's not something that people will find, oh, that's so salesy. Why are you messaging me? But they'll be like, oh, I'm open for this beautiful connection. I would like to know the other creator that is doing exactly what I'm doing, and I can work with her to partner up or affiliate or things like that.
Right. And that is so valuable. And I love that you said that too, because it's not just this, and why I value your voice on this, because it's not just necessarily this networking app. It's a place to truly build alliances and mastermind with other people and to connect. And I know that I would find that so valuable if you're like, hey, April, you should know Joe or whoever,
Yeah.
and we try to do that. I do that actually for our clients, but now that you're saying that, I probably definitely don't do that enough for my connections. And so that's something that I want to be better at. So as you're saying this, I'm going, okay, I really need to look at my connections. Who do I value? And being like, you should know this person. And I know I value that. So I know that my connections would value that. And frankly, I just really never thought about that from a LinkedIn
And
standpoint.
you're
So
such a so butterfly. I can tell people it's like, yeah, I know you through April. Thank you so much, April, for this. And then like it helps you with like this snowball effect of business opportunity as well, right? Like when someone think about business coaching, the first person think about is April, because you already helped them so much initially to make all those beautiful connection, right? And I love that sentence that people say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's, I think, the together component. It's what the most precious thing about LinkedIn. People talk about business all the time, and they carry a mindset of like, oh yeah, we're like creating this partnership. We're creating this opportunity, either as business or a career. It's normal in this space.
yeah, and I think that I've been down LinkedIn probably since 2008, 2009,
Long
but
time as
a long,
well.
long time ago. I'm aging myself, right? But I think that for me, in the last couple of years, recognizing the value of really great, genuine connections that we haven't been able to really make on other social media platforms, and people I
Yeah.
can learn from and people I can contribute to. And I love that you said that, because that is the exact intention of why I know that many people are here. Like you were saying, they're very valuable connections here, and contributions, clients, collaborations, partnerships. And so I love that those are some of the ways that you lead with for your connections. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about some
More
direct
deadly sin.
messaging. Yeah, direct messaging things that people should not do on LinkedIn.
Oh, love that. There's so many, but I will start with the two of my least favorite. So I got a lot of people asking me to like send them a recommendation endorsement. And those are usually strangers. And I'll be like, who are you? Why would I endorse your skill if I have not even like worked with you before, or recommendation either? And I think this is like a big no-no on LinkedIn, because you're giving a task first to someone completely stranger. You don't even build the initial like sort of like relationship, and on top of it you just like basically hurting your own personal reputation in this space. Because like imagine if it's a job, right? Your future employer will call that person up or DMing that person, hey, can you vouch for Salina for XYZ? And that person will be, I don't know who they are, but yeah, I endorsed them previously. It's hurt them the reputation for both ends, right? Because you're
Yeah.
the one that giving and you're the one that asking. So I would say this is the number one no from my end, asking stranger for endorsement and recommendation on LinkedIn.
Okay, I love that. And yeah, it's your personal credibility too. And one of the things that we shared before we started recording is I've had people go through and kind of click certain endorsements for me, and though I appreciate that, I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
And so, then they would send a message say, "Hey, I just endorsed you for this." And I would have this guilty conscience of like, "Oh my gosh,
Don't be.
why?"
Don't
Well, and so,
ever.
and so I didn't. But like that has actually bothered me for years where I'm like, "Oh, thank you, but you're I have no clue who you are or what you do or
Yeah.
whether or not you're good at it or what that is."
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
wonder.
just some LinkedIn gurus started to give tips about this. And I think like people start doing it, but without like a purpose or like strong goal of doing it. Right. So yeah, don't ever feel guilty, April. It's not your fault. It's their fault. Like they shouldn't even start it with, endorsing people that they don't know and not
Right.
really cultivating and like building that relationship
Right.
first.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you for my release of that. So now let's kind of go into frequency of direct messaging as
Sure.
far as with people you do want to become your clients. Do you have a recommended way that you've known they have done the best practices, right? You've connected with them in the feed, you've built a relationship with them, and you've added value, you've done all the things that you've said, and sometimes that jump to, hey, what's the next step, feels like a pretty big jump to people getting
Yeah.
prospects on a call. Do you have any recommendations on how to convert from the relationship just into the actual sales
I
prospect?
love that question so much. I literally just create a video, particularly around that topic. It's called the LinkedIn Growth Strategies, just 15 minutes per day. So, like, obviously, it's like a 10-minute video. It's really long. I go nitty gritty, but I will put into like three buckets. One, we talk about, like, April and I talk about the engagement piece. I think is a really, really big piece. And then engagement could actually go first before even connecting with another person. Just like the point that you talk about, right, April? You said, I remember this face, like it's on my feed. She supported my content. That instant connection will allow me to just accept that connection invitation if that person is sending me in the second sort of like bucket that they're doing, right? And the last one, I know what you mean by like, oh, how do I actually jump into the conversation of sales, right?
Yeah.
I would actually take a step back and think about more in terms of your content. I think content on LinkedIn is such a like opportunity that a lot of people is not using. In fact, there's only 5.5% of the entire user on LinkedIn is posting on LinkedIn consistently, which means it's so easy for you to dominate the news feed. And the funny thing is like if I'm thinking about my corporate like days, right? When I'm still working for LinkedIn during corporate days, I don't actually engage a lot. Like I would actually consume content. I don't like people content. I don't comment on people content, but I'm still interested to hear about what like April you have to say. What about Sweet Life Entrepreneur? What about your offer? But not necessarily interacting in the comments section, right? So I would actually go back and really dial into your like conversion when it's come to content. Did you really ask at the end of the sort of like content, is there ways to connect with your audience that is really like relatable? Is there like problems that you're trying to help other people solve? And then at the end of it, the CTA needs to be extremely clean. And my preferred one is usually DM and then the word, which is the word. It could be your program name. It could be April, your name. It could be like things that you help your clients to solve, right? Like it could be perhaps I help people with LinkedIn, then it will be DM me the word LinkedIn and let's have a chat. And in that way, it just helps instantly to create that really easy flow of conversation of more transactional because the other person is interested to talk to you, to know more about your offer. And then from there, the transactional conversation is much more easier, and there's an ending point of it, right? Whether you want to take them on the sales page directly to buy a course, or directly to book a sales consultation call with you, or to watch a VSL, whatever that is, it becomes much more natural. So I will start with that.
Great tip. So far we've talked about authentically connecting in the feed. We've talked about adding value. We've talked about connecting our connections to each other
Yes.
and providing value just because we're good people and we want to, and we know two people that would know each other and they could be great, and actually leading with that place of I want to serve, I want to give first. And now your tip about this content is so smart, because there are a lot of people that want to create content, but there's something about LinkedIn. Maybe it's because we've been in the Instagram, Facebook content space for so many years, and it's just a totally different audience, different objective, a different culture, a different, like, all of it is different. And so there seems to be this disconnect between how to communicate on LinkedIn versus other social platforms that people may be on. I know that our clients struggle with that. And those are things that they bring up, which is why I'm so grateful to have you on the show and
Thank you.
talking about this. And it's really how to create content that is conversional. And
Yeah.
so with that being said, because I just know our listeners and I anticipate the questions they're asking, how often do you recommend creating or posting not just any content, but that content that asks for a call to action content?
Oh my goodness, love that. I would say it's a ratio. So for instance, it's an easy ratio to follow. It's, let's say you post every single day, which is what I recommend, Monday to Friday. If it's possible, then I would say you can have one post that is a ask post, which is you really like calling out your audience. Hey, like, attention, mine is like entrepreneur and corporate escapee. If you want to like create a follow-worthy brand, this is my offer. If you're interested, let's have a chat. And automatically we mentioned about the conversion, right? Because this is an ask, you need to understand that those type of lead generation posts will not get you engagement, a lot of engagement, just like other posts. Like if it's a storytelling post about like, April, how you started your business, how you like created this amazing podcast show, why do you create it? It's obviously getting more eyeballs and more attention and engagement, and people are more likely to engage, like commenting like, oh, this is such a good show, I've been a huge supporter, yada yada yada, continue the conversation. Whereas if you're direct ask, the conversation is less, but I can guarantee you, whoever that is listening to us right now, that ask is so important, because without ask, no one knows exactly what you're selling. And also it's a direct ask that is just like, I already add so much value throughout the entire week, like with educational posts, how you can basically achieve what you want with the goals, obviously the goals that you want, right? Little mini bite-sized tips. And then from there, you just like, oh, if you want to learn more, obviously with each day, just 2 to 3 minutes of digesting my content would not get you to where you want it to be. If you want to like 10x your income or like help to land media feature using LinkedIn, this is the program for you. And that ask is important. So I will do that ratio. If not, if you're posting twice or 3 times per week, then you can do 2 asks for the whole month. And that could be ranging from, you can do testimonial as well. There's so many ways of the big ask that you can do, not just like, hey, this is my hand, take my hand, this is my program. But there's also ways of like using soft selling, using your client testimonial to talk about those results. And then from there to do the big ask of DM you about the work that we just talked about, or this is the sales page, go ahead and learn more.
Wow. That we could have done a whole episode just on, on
I know,
that
content.
one. I'm like, oh my gosh. Definitely need to have you back on the show. This information is really valuable. And I appreciate so much that you lead with this, you practice this, function through this day in and day out on all your LinkedIn content. I've learned so much already about being okay with posting 5 days a week. I've heard that, you don't need to do that, but I actually have enough content that I've wanted to share 5 days a week. And I felt like,
Do it.
honestly, it was this overkill. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to bury all these, followers on LinkedIn. So I love that you said that. And that's really encouraging. And then just about how you're asking for the ask. That is, that is so, people are overusing the word authentic. So I actually try to avoid using that word so much now, but it's direct and it's intentional, and it is starting with sharing why somebody needs to be there. And in coaching, I've coached entrepreneurs now for 27 years, but in coaching that, I feel like the number one thing that we do is we serve, 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 and we don't come anywhere near asking for
True.
somebody to take the
So
next
true.
step. I think we do that a lot. And so I
Yeah.
love that you said that.
Especially women.
Right. Like, let me help you. Let me throw up more great information all over you, or whatever that is,
Yeah.
Let me
There's
do
a
a video.
stigma that we're like, oh,
Right.
maybe we just wait. No more waiting. Just do the asking. Because when you do
Right.
ask, result just comes so naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just end with this to our listeners. How many of you guys are out there posting great content, but there's still people might not actually be sure how to buy you, or what to buy you for, or
So
what
true.
that next step is. And you're so good at sharing and teaching and contributing and transforming your audiences and giving all this great content, and yet you have a group of followers that actually might want to engage with you, and you are not giving them opportunity to say, hey, I'm so glad that you're here. This is what happened with April when she worked with me, and this is what it is, and these are the end results that we provide. Are you ready for that? Do you want that? And so I just want to
Yeah.
encourage our listeners and people tuning into this show that selling. Myron Golden, I don't know if you listen to Myron, but I love Myron. He's a business leader. Myron Golden says selling is a gift, right? And when
So
we
true.
have a solution that we know delivers people or companies measurable, predictable, transformational results, then therefore it's our obligation to make that available to them. And I think that there is so
I love
much
that.
of a practice of free content, or even necessarily paid content. And so I appreciate so much your ratio, because we don't want to be over salesy. We don't want to be.
Yes.
And so I think we overcorrect so much, we actually don't sell anything sometimes.
I know, yeah. And I love what you mentioned. It's like, to me, it's like an act of love, an act of service. We're not a
Right.
product pusher. We're just like, if you and I are a match to work together, that's an act of love. That's an act of service. I inviting you to work with me, right? Just like the process that you mentioned, we just like qualify your leads. That's an act of service, knowing you and I are a good match to work together. If it's not, then
Right.
I'm sorry, let's say bye right here, and then later down the road when you and I are ready, let's go ahead and work together, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And actually doing our potential prospects a favor and saying, you know what? I'm not the right one for you, but here's somebody
Yes.
else who could be. Or using that very clear
Love
language
that.
into what our brand is. Like, I'm not for everybody, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when I speak on stages, I even speak on stages in flip flops. I mean, some people don't want me. That's just who I am. I'm not going to not be who I am, right? So
That's me every day.
okay, right? So I was just speaking at podcast movement a couple of weeks ago, and I showed up in my flip, but that's just it's just always who I've been,
I
right?
love
And
that. Yeah.
so I feel like I feel like exactly like you were saying. I love what you said, that is also a gift to disqualify people with our content, with our messaging. And when we go in for that, making that service available to them, just being like, yeah, this is, you're not either ready for this, or this isn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think that's a
That's
great way
awesome.
to end.
And if I can add,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah,
I can
please
add
do.
2 actionable point in terms of what you just said, if someone just like, the big ask is to really leverage the link you have on LinkedIn, which shouldn't be just putting a company website, but instead it could be the most important CTA you want that is related to your sales goal. Let's say you're now launching a masterclass, a free workshop, put it right there. Like, don't waste your real estate. The second really good place to put is your feature section. It's completely for free. It's the most clickable area on LinkedIn. And my question is, why not utilizing it? It's free traffic, free place to basically go through your funnel. So make good use of those 2 places.
And I'm going to go change my general website link on my LinkedIn profile right now.
I felt so bad. I'm sorry.
It's so good. What do you mean? That was gold for me. Well, I'm so grateful that you said that, because so basically we use our lead magnet, or whatever that event we're hosting, in that first action step into our ecosystem of services.
Yes.
Golden. I'm going to add it to the list. I'm totally going to do that absolutely right now. Thank you so much.
Yay. Perfect. I
Hopefully,
love
our listeners.
actionable steps that you can take and implement, you know? Yeah.
We do too. We eat them up. So, how can people really connect with you and just your content is so good. I want to make sure people know how to find you.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, really. I'm most active there. If you DM me, like most of the time, I will be the one that responding. If not, my VA will definitely reroute you to me. But LinkedIn is the place to go. I do, however, started YouTube channels. If you want to learn something more longer form of training, I have few trainings to get started on LinkedIn, how to
Yeah.
basically use LinkedIn for your business. We also talk about LinkedIn premiums, which is a big topic that everybody asks all the time. Me and April talk about the LinkedIn etiquette. I actually have a specific dedicated show that is talk about the 10 deadly sin. So if you want to like go through that, that will be really helpful. But it's really expanding on some of the really great nugget that we just talked about today.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's all on your YouTube is over there.
Yeah.
And awesome. Okay, and we'll make sure that the links to find you are in the show notes for this episode for sure. And so people can connect with you further. And I appreciate so much your time and being here and contributing and being such a leader in this space. Thank you
And
so
thank you so
much.
much for having me on the show. I have such a fun time, like geeking out, talking all things LinkedIn with you.
I really appreciate your wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, April.